Study session meeting of February 2nd, 2026. Groundhog Day. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person city council meetings in council chambers on the lower level of City Hall. Public access to tonight's meeting is also available on the local government access channel 8 for Comcast subscribers, on the city's YouTube channel online, and by telephone using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. We have two items tonight. The first one is Denver Peak Academy presentation. So the director of Denver Peak Academy, Megan Williams, will present to council. Welcome.
Thank you. I think Heather's going to do a little intro, yeah?
Okay.
Before I start.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I wanted to formally introduce why can't I say that word today? Formally introduce Megan Williams, the director of the Denver Peak Academy. Sorry, it's been a long day, long weekend. We invited Megan to come up here this evening to present about the Denver Peak Academy when looking at standing up an innovation team here internally. Denver is probably the best premier example based on the work that they've done. So we are in the beginning stages of figuring out how to design what our innovation team will look like. So I wanted to use this as an opportunity to provide a check-in with council, introduce you to the inner workings of the Denver Peak Academy, allow you an opportunity to provide feedback, what is of note based on what Megan will walk through this evening, what is of most interest to you in terms of what you would like to relay to me to keep in mind as we're working internally to design this innovation team. So again, this is one format. The scale of their program is much larger than I would envision our program to be. However, the possibilities are endless, and the timeline for the staff to bring back more of a framework to you will be fourth quarter of this year, unless we're able to do it sooner, with the intention of being able to develop a budget program request, and we'll include that through the 2027 budget process. So one piece that I do want to draw particular attention to is we had 23 staff members participate under Megan's direction in Green Belt training. That's the entry training that the Denver Peak Academy hosts. This training was well received by the staff that participated in the program, and so part of what we're also doing is using the feedback from those staff members who participated in that training to help inspire and figure out how we're going to move forward and create our internal team. So excited to say that we have considerable engagement by staff here at the city at multiple levels as we're embarking on this journey to figure out what our internal innovation team will look like in the future. I'll turn it over to Megan.
All right, well, Mayor and Council, I'm so excited to be here. I can talk about Peak for hours and hours. I think it's so great. I was a Peak super fan. When I worked at the town of Frederick, I went through the training back in 2014. So I was a super fan before I was the director. And so, yeah, I'm just going to kind of take you through what is the program, what do we do, and happy to answer any questions. So feel free to stop me. Because again, and I also talk kind of fast, so I'm going to do my best to slow it down. So who is Peak? What do we do? So through training, coaching, project facilitation, we really try to inspire and empower the frontline folks, and really frontline all the way to executives to continuously improve service delivery for the community. And our hope by doing that is that we're going to create this community of innovators who leverage data to drive equitable outcomes where all people thrive inside the city and county of Denver. There on the side, you'll see our values. These are really important to us. This is actually the way that we hire, is with those core values, and this is really what our work is like when it's at its best, is we're exhibiting these things. So this is really a really key way how we run our program. So this breaks down into essentially 3 different functions. We do training, project facilitation, and then, as Heather said, we've become sort of a national model for process improvement inside of government, as well as we've trained some nonprofits and some states, but mostly cities. And at this point, we've probably trained over 400 other organizations across the United States and some in Canada. So you can call us international if you want to. But so internally, folks can attend these trainings for free. But since we are paid by Denver taxpayers, we do ask for other cities to pay for the ability to come to the training, just so we're recouping those tax dollars and then what my team would be saving inside the city and county of Denver if we were working for them. So that's how our prices are based. And so the training, we have 3 different options. We have the green belt, which is what we did here for the city of Northglenn, which is so much fun. See a couple of folks that were in the class. And then we also have a black belt, which is 3.5 days with a half-day summit 1 month later, where folks come back and talk to us about the project that they're going to lead using the tools that we taught them. And then we have a leading like an innovator class that's really for leadership, because again, it's really important that the leaders are bought into this so that they can make that time and help direct the right areas for folks to be focusing on when they come through class. So that one's for supervisors. And then the team does about 30% training and about 70% of project facilitation inside the city. And those are mostly process improvement, change management, strategic planning, and roles and responsibilities. And so that takes about 70% of the team's time. And then, like I say, we do the national consultation as people ask us to. I wouldn't say this is a big bucket for us, but it is a bucket. We have about 5 seats in our black belt class each month that are reserved for folks to come through. And then, yeah, we come and do trainings like this wherever else we're asked to go. That picture's from the state of North Carolina. I think their Department of Health and Human Services. So why are we the national model? It's really that we believe in character and competence. So we need to show our competence by our results, and so we're very serious about tracking the data involved with each innovation that comes through our doors. And so by doing that, we can confidently tell you that we have saved the city $80 million over the past 13 years, in addition to $17.3 million in customer savings. So city savings is, we characterize that as soft savings and hard savings. So soft savings is the time of our employees, because that's our biggest cost inside the city and county of Denver, is the people who do the work. So we think of that as really valuable savings, and then hard savings is dollars that go right back into the budget. And then the customer savings is when we're putting money right back into the pockets of the folks who need to deal with the city, whether that's with their own time or with like cutting a fee that we really didn't need to have. We've trained over 12,000 employees, and the result of this is not only all of the incredible innovation that happens, but it's also really an employee engagement tool. We see a lot higher engagement scores for folks who come through Black Belt, as well as lower turnover rates for those folks. So we can really tell that that is like a way they stay engaged. And then through all that, we've had over 5,000 innovations identified and actualized inside the city and county. No one's required to take our training. It's all self-select. And so yeah, we have to really, people have to enjoy being around us. And so that's where that character piece comes in, of like really treating people well, knowing that they're gonna have a great experience with us, and then they refer other folks to us, because it's really word of mouth at this point that people find us. So these are just a few examples of some projects, but you can go onto our website and see so many things. We have like videos, we have slides about a lot of different projects, but anyway, these are just a few. We reduced the time to hire a position from 90 days to 45 days. We actually just finished some great work with our Civil Service Commission. So at the City and County of Denver, we have a commission that helps us hire our police officers and our firefighters. And the amazing results they've had is like 150% higher classes filled after working with us. So we're hiring more police officers more quickly, which is awesome. And then we were able to decrease the excise and license lobby wait times from 8 hours to 15 minutes. We literally used to have a frozen yogurt machine in the lobby to be like, so sorry you're here for 8 hours waiting for your security guard merchant license, have some frozen yogurt. So it's exciting that now you do not actually have to wait 8 hours. You can come in and get everything done in 15 minutes. So we don't have the frozen yogurt machine anymore. But they don't have to pay for parking 2 days to come downtown for their license. We reduced our affordable housing development loan review time by 50%, 1 full month. So again, we're getting that affordable housing going much more quickly. And then we had an ADA lawsuit where they identified thousands of different things that we needed to fix inside the community in order to meet the lawsuit. And those were only passing inspection 50% of the time. And so we had to go back in, like things like adding a bar to help somebody get up from the bathroom, or like where the, paper towels are on the wall. And so we were having to redo those 50% of the time. But when they worked with us, we were able to get them up to 70% in 2 months. And now we're at like a 97% pass rate. So all of these things happen just with us putting these tools in the hands of the folks who do the work. So when we think about what is continuous improvement, for us at the city and at Peak, it is centering what customers value first and foremost. If your process is not built around what your customer wants, it's not a good process, right? Like if we're building it around what makes it easier for us, or just the things that we put in the way over time, like 17 signatures, because one thing happened one time. I don't know if you have that here, but we have it at the city. So this is really thinking about like, what is the customer value? And then everything else around that can be changed. Sometimes people feel like some of these systems are just a whole big mess, right? Like, and so that keeps people from wanting to even try to solve them. And so we really try to help people think about this into smaller, bite-sized chunks, starting with the most pain or the root cause, and then moving on from there to continue to move things forward. We really want to focus on action and using the expertise of the people who do the work. That was something that was really unique about Peak when it first started, was that the other programs that were around, there was like City Stat in Baltimore and one other one, but they were really top down. It was like, I think you should do this, and I want to give you this like data point to hit, and you're going to do it my way. And so Peak said, what if we put these tools in the hands of the folks who do the work every day? Like, what could we see come out of them? Because they're the best ones to know their process. So, this gets people to action. It's also like, it's not meetings, it's action. It was actually like, when I came here today, I was like, I'm not bringing anything, like, because we're not doing, like, I'm just going to talk to you. It's so weird, because usually I'm like having people use sticky notes, and like, we're solving things and we leave with an action plan. So this was weird today to just show up. And then really all of this results in innovation. And the way we mean when we say innovation is like a change for the better. I think sometimes when folks hear the word innovation, they think technology. Like we got to be adding technology to something. And that's not what we mean by the word innovation. We mean, how do we make something better? Okay, so What do we think of as elements of innovation? Like, what are we really teaching folks to look for when they're thinking about innovating? We want it to be staff-driven. We want it to be customer-focused. We want it to be equity-focused. We want it to be sustainable. So often, right, we make a change and then that ball just rolls right back down the hill. And so really we want to teach people how to implement change in a way that it actually can keep long after they're, promoted into a different position or hit the lottery or whatever. So without new technology or people, a lot of folks like to come to us and say, oh, if only I had this fancy new tech system, I could do everything you ever dreamed of. And some people say, oh, I just need another person. Like, I'm just struggling. I have to have another person. And so I'll give you two examples. Technology, if we're not fixing our processes before we add technology, we now have expensive, crappy processes. So we have to make sure we have an example inside the city is this contracting software that everyone hates to use, and it is slowing down the process so terribly, but it's like when we got the new system, we just put the old processes right into it, didn't do any process improvement, and so now we have this fancy new system that we customized to death, and so now we can't even get the bugs, the bug fixes that somebody would give you. So we really stress process improvement for technology. And then the people example I'll give you is I had one woman come to me and say, oh, my customers are getting this application wrong 70% of the time. I have to have another person to help me with these applications because they're just wrong all the time. And I was like, no, friend. It's we have to fix your application. If 70% of people are not understanding your application is a problem. So with relationships based on trust, again, lots of people feel very committed to the way they do things. And so how can we make sure that we're creating an environment of trust and understanding what's happened before we apply innovation? And then you can see they're implemented and tracked with a score. We're very serious about tracking the data. That's, again, how I can tell you how much we've saved. And then starting small in scope and making sure that it's in their control or influence, especially when you're first starting out, to build that track record of success. We want to make sure it's something that they can actually control. Okay, so this just kind of takes you through what we teach people. So first, we're going to teach them how to capture the voice of their customer. Then they're going to process map. Then they're going to identify the waste on that process map. Then they're going to select 1 to 2 process steps that have the most waste to focus on for their innovation. Then we're going to teach them some gap analysis tools to use on those identified steps. We're going to help them brainstorm ideas to address that waste and those gaps. And then we teach some solution tools that then they can actually put into an action plan, right? If meetings are ending without action plans, we didn't need to have that meeting. So we always want to make sure people have an action plan with things that are assigned to people and due dates. So this is the innovation form. This is what we use, is basically the problem-solving tool. So all of those steps that I just showed you, they all fit inside this form. And the form is how we track all the things. So why change is needed, those metrics that are involved with the current state and how it looks in the future state. Then again, where we're going to put our gap analysis, our brainstorming. And so this is really where our savings comes from, is these current state and future state metrics. And then you see there the action plan. We always like to have folks prove that they actually did the thing and then track their results. So again, really taking that current state and that future state and then tracking where we are for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days to actually make sure the thing worked. Sometimes it won't. That's okay. Failure is absolutely a part of process improvement. But if we're not tracking it, we don't know if it worked or if it didn't work. So we got to track it either way. So these are just examples from real frontline employees This is just them like innovating in the wild. So I wanted to show you, like, this is somebody who just came to class and then they were able to create this process map. Like, I just think it's the coolest thing. So what you're looking at is the process map, and then all of those things that have like the pink sort of glow around them are the waste. And so you can very clearly see here, which step did they start with based on how much waste it has. Anybody want to guess? That's right. It's such an easy tool to use. You haven't even had the training, and you can tell where the most waste is, right? That's the whole beautiful benefit of it, is like, it makes it so visible. It's so easy to use. So there we go. And then this is just a filled out form. We don't need to go through the whole thing, but I just kind of wanted to show you, like, this is, again, this is somebody who just came through class, and they can fill this form out start to finish, and did an incredible job on our family cold weather motel vouchering process. And so that's a communication circle. That's one of the gap analysis tools that we teach. And then I think her process map is over here too. Yeah, you can't see it that well, but again, in the innovation form you can. On the slides you probably can't as well, but her beautiful process map. And then she showed a before of what their voucher looked like, and then how they created this checklist, and then that even now has gone into a online form. So lots of stuff that they did to that process, and then you can see there the savings. But I feel like I've talked a lot, and maybe you did not want me to talk this long. Okay. So what we think about as the leader's role is really creating an environment where change can thrive. So what does that mean? Setting the scope for the team, right? Like, process maps are not going to be any good if we don't know what the first and last step is. That's got to be done by the leader. Protecting time. We have to go slow to go fast. But I'm telling you, like, if you do 2 days of process improvement instead of 3 months of weekly meetings, you're going to see the change so much more quickly, because people don't have time to go back to their whirlwind. And so really protecting that time to get things right, and the benefit is going to be immense. Creating clear goals with measures is super important. And then again, that idea of failure has to be okay. And poor performance is not the same thing as that, and that needs to be addressed, right? But like, it should be okay to fail in an idea. Okay, I think that's everything. Again, I had a lot more I could talk about, but yeah, this is it. I think it's so great. We love it so much. I'll never get tired of it. And yeah, it's so exciting to see the way it really invigorates the public servants that came here to do awesome stuff. You know, we just get the nonsense out of their way, so.
So we want to open it up for questions. If you have any questions of Megan, hear your thoughts, your reactions to what she shared. She shared a lot with you in a short amount of time. Consider it a teaser. If there's additional information you'd like to have, we can also figure out a next part of a conversation as well.
I think this is a really good summary. Thank you.
Yeah.
Heather, can you give us a little bit of like your vision?
So I guess I'm going to be a little sneaky. I don't have it all figured out. I was the one that advanced the idea through strategic planning. My vision for standing up an innovation team is really based on creating more of a foundation of a high-performance organization and culture. So having been exposed to Megan's work and the work of other organizations where they really lean into continuous improvement and innovation, again, going back to what Megan said, it's not just about the latest and greatest technology, but really looking at what we're doing, why we've done it that way, can it be better, and furthering the results for the community. Because at the end of the day, it's what the work that we're doing and how it benefits the community. So I don't have a specific vision for the structure of it yet, but my reason for advancing the idea for standing up a team is because I believe in this work and I believe it's important for us to do it here. And while there's many instances of where we've done great things here at the city of Northglenn, I think if we were to empower all employees to be engaged in this type of work, we can do a lot more to benefit residents.
Okay. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Ms. Williams, thank you for presenting. I see you. So as you were presenting, I kind of went to the Peak website and several thoughts ran through my mind. It says you're not purely just Six Sigma training. It looks like it's a hybrid or a derivative of Six Sigma process improvement. And I really appreciate your comment about creating that psychological safety to encourage those people who are maybe in a process to not necessarily personalize any fault of their own, but rather take a critical look at the process.
Yes. Yeah. So we really tried to pick and choose all of the different pieces of continuous improvement from like Toyota Production System, Lean Six Sigma. There's even like some agile thinking there, right? And so it's really been about like what makes sense for government employees. And that's really the biggest feedback that we've had from folks who come through our training and have been through like a true Lean Six Sigma, is that ours feels so much more accessible and you can apply it more easily. Whereas like Lean Six Sigma can get a little bit jargony and like is super manufacturing heavy. Whereas like to see all of the different examples that we have from all over government really helps it drive home for folks that like anybody can use this stuff.
So really, you're either trying to improve, I would assume, the cycle time of getting through a process, or also trying to realize some sort of cost savings.
Yes, and even errors, right? Like if you have a really high error rate in a process and we want to bring that down, of course, there's going to be some cost savings most likely, but yeah, it's really like each different innovation has its own storytelling metric, is the way we like to say it, but almost always we can find some savings for the budget.
Gotcha. So if the city were interested in engaging and participating in your services, is it an IGA? Is it paying a fixed fee? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so right now we just have folks pay the fee, and yeah, we haven't raised our prices since it began. So the prices aren't for us to make money. It's really for us to just like recoup the time for City and County of Denver taxpayers. But yeah, the fact that you all are right here and can benefit from the training is amazing, because we do have folks come from all over the nation, and then they have to pay, travel expenses as well as the cost of the training. So.
Okay, thank you.
If I could add, Councilmember Kondo, one of the ways I'd respond to your question is to add that it's also just looking at a problem differently and having cross-functional teams throughout the city tackle a problem, not just saying, okay, this is a problem in public works, so it's public works problem to solve. Zooming out and bringing in talent from across the organization of people who, it's often best to have people look at a problem who aren't so tied to it and directly involved, especially on an emotional level with a problem. So I have found that in my years in government. So when you have that outside perspective, I mean, you can glean a lot of what if, how about this? And so that's also one of the benefits of learning a continuous improvement framework.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, both ladies, both of you. My question is, and Heather, you said something, maybe sort of address it through these cross-functional teams, but I'm just wondering if a process in a certain department, they're trying to improve the way things are done there, but it has an impact on people in the different departments or maybe some unintended consequences. Can you just say a little bit more about how you, I don't know, either identify that ahead of time or work through that, or how that works?
Yeah. So a good example is that affordable housing process, because that takes so many different departments inside the city and county of Denver. And I will say, I don't know, I think city and county of Denver is maybe even more siloed than here, just because it's like each department has its own executive director that's an appointee from our strong mayor. And so it's like the kingdoms and the like, no one knows what's going on in the other departments. And so we were able to bring them all into the room together, and they were able to see for the first time that, oh, that's I get why now, like, it would really help you if I could do this earlier. It doesn't matter in my process, like, but now I see the actual issue that's causing, right? And the process map went around the room because there were just so many of them, and they all, again, had their own part to play. But to get everybody in the room and see each other's is almost sometimes like the most beneficial part about it, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Roper?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. I'm going to play the devil's advocate a little bit because that's what I'm doing. First off, can you tell me how much this would run approximately? What's the cost, price tag?
So right now, what we've invested is related to the training that we've had staff complete. And so under the budget and time implications, I shared that the 23 staff members who went through Greenbelt training, that's about $5,700. Okay. And that was direct invoicing with the City and County of Denver Peak program. I have not developed a budget yet because, again, we're in the process of, I want to hear your thoughts about what you envision this to look like beyond what I shared just a few minutes ago. So my hope is we develop an annual program budget, but that program budget is minimal compared to the cost savings that we would generate on an annual basis through cost continuous improvement. So the soft costs that Megan talked about, and then the hard costs.
Okay.
And just from what's happening at City and County of Denver, my team, it's under $1 million for the staffing of my team, and then we have like a very small budget in addition to just staffing costs. So that's under $1 million, and each person on the team saves about $1 million a year.
Okay.
And there's 8 of us.
Okay.
I guess I should say, Councilmember Roper, if I may, at this point in time, given budget constraints that are real to us, I'm not necessarily going into the development of this program with additional FTEs in mind. It's about utilizing existing staff and empowering them. But those are pieces I've got to figure out.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I was going to mention that just with the budget crunch that we're under. I guess I was thinking, do we really need to pay someone to be able to empower our employees? I think you do lovely work, but I also think we have a lot of talent here on staff. And I guess just from an educational lens, sometimes we can get caught up in the forms and charts and sticky notes and lose sight of what it is we're actually trying to do. So I wouldn't want that to happen since our budget is scarce this year. But it seems like a lovely program.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did have a question about the budget, so you asked that. Thanks for asking that. So in terms of how this was presented, I think this is really interesting, the approach of innovation without new technology. I'm glad you mentioned that because immediately my brain goes towards technology, innovation, like how are we using things to make more efficient, how to make everything more efficient. So I like that approach because I think that makes a lot of sense especially in government. What do we hear? Government is wasteful. Government is not efficient. So to Heather's vision of a high performance team or high performance government and our vision in part of our strategic planning, I think it's a good idea. I am concerned hopefully that, the further training doesn't keep maybe escalating the budget amount. But so far, what I've seen and what you presented is definitely something I think that could really improve our processes. And that's where we're going, right? If the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, or the right hand's blaming the left hand because something isn't working, in that area, I think that's important to figure it out. And that sounds kind of what the focus is, if I'm understanding this right. And the example of waste reduction, 8 hours to 15 minutes. Are you planning on revamping all the DMVs? Because they could definitely use something like this.
We actually have worked with the DMV in the past. We do go where we're wanted, so they haven't asked us in a while. Fingers crossed, they call us in the new year. But one thing you said made me think of, so really the goal is not that we would keep training your folks, right? Like most people who come from other cities are gonna send 1 or 2 folks to our training, and then they go back and create their own version of that. So I can also give Heather some context of some of the other cities who have done that. Bend, Oregon is one example where like they sent a couple folks to our training and now they have their own program there. It does take the staff to run the program, but the whole goal of all of this would be that we help you create something that is sustainable here.
Thank you for that clarification. I mean, that makes sense. I get the gist of it. So it's more of like a train the trainer program, which is great. So it can continue in perpetuity. And that actually brings me to the last question I have. The first group was 23 staff members. What's your goal or your vision for the innovation team exactly in terms of like a number of people? Is it just leadership team, or you're still figuring that out?
Well, still figuring out, but I'm happy to share the thoughts that I've had around it. Not just leadership team. So the 23 staff members that went through the Greenbelt training were a combination of leadership team members, so department directors for the public's benefit, as well as mid-managers as well. And so ideally, I would love to have all staff go through the training because I think it's a program that really focuses on empowering out-of-the-box thinking, not to use that to sound cliche, but really we have so many processes in the city, and if I, thinking about what I experienced on the front end of my career 26 years ago entering local government, and if this training had existed then, how empowering and exciting that would be to get to engage and really be able to question a process and advance ideas. It really provides those tools to move ideas forward. And so my perfect vision would be that all of our staff go through the training because I don't think we should look at it from a perspective of if you work in City Hall, this is the training for you. I think it's all of our employees have interface with the public at varying levels. They have interface with processes. They're responsible for moving work forward. So I don't know how we would accomplish that. I'd have to figure it out. But most of the communities that I'm familiar with pick a path. Either they have a couple designated staff members like the city of Brighton, and then staff bring their problems to that staff to help them work through. I think I'm envisioning maybe we go about it differently, but again, I don't have it figured out in terms of staff across the city is empowered, but what that looks like today, I don't have completely figured out, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So if you're on a parks crew within Parks and Recreation, if you want to engage in this training, we'll make an investment in sending you to training. And we'd have the ability to have Megan and or her team members come on site like she did for the Greenbelt training we held. So there's the convenience of being here in the city with the training, and then having those team members that want to do the more advanced training we make that greater investment for them, the black belt training. And I think that's where they bring forward ideas and then they follow it through. And it's all applicable, and we can put that to good use in my mind. And I think directors support that as well. We've had a really great conversation around this topic at the director level, and I think one of the things that was expressed to me early on was, let's not limit the scope of who can participate.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. That makes a lot of sense. And thank you, Megan, for the presentation.
So I think I have a handle on this based on the presentation and all of the comments and questions, the trainer model and all that. I know it sounds like a very successful program. Thank you for sharing. And there's definitely some success to celebrate. The numbers are very different, right? So to say, $8 million a year for your team, that's huge in a system that's huge, right? You're providing many, many, many more public services than the city of Northglenn. So I have no doubt that you're making an impact, and I think that's awesome. To try to scale that to what sort of results we might see, it's going to be much smaller. And so when I see the value, I don't see it so much as a monetary value or a cost savings. I'm guessing you guys got passed over for the job cuts because of the work you do, and that's, you should be thankful for that, because that's pretty tricky. The cost benefit to our city is going to be different. I don't see it as like, whoo, we're going to save all this money. I love innovative thinking. When you brought up the innovation team, and then we worked a little bit with the Brighton staff, that is really good work. I think it's great. So this is just the organization that you want to train the team. This is the one you're proposing, because there's a lot out there, but you like this one. Is that what I'm hearing?
I do like this model. I think it's the
Okay.
best model in the research that I've done. And they're local.
Right.
And it's probably one of the longest standing models to my
Yeah.
knowledge.
And Brighton based theirs off of ours
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well. So,
that's fine.
And Westminster has also sent folks, Adams County, I'm just trying to think locally.
Wheat Ridge.
Who else has
in the
done it?
past.
Yeah, so anyways, but yeah, I would say it's the longest running, and again, we've had a lot of success with people coming and seeing ours and then reshaping it the way they need to for their own community.
Right. So speaking of Wheat Ridge, they're more our size. Did they go through the training at Peak and then they stood up their own, or what did that look like?
So when I was at Wheat Ridge, we had a couple staff members. I did not go through the training, but I had a couple staff members working for me go through the training, and they applied. They went through black belt training, and then they applied their knowledge base throughout the organization on different projects. So they haven't stood up a centralized program, if you want to refer to it as such. Like Brighton has, I want to say, 2 staff members, and as I work to build what our vision can look like, I'm happy to bring back more specifics about different communities so you can use that as a reference point. But in terms of the example you shared, Mayor, when we had Brighton come help us do that exercise on fireworks, those 2 staff members.
Right.
And I want to say they may have reduced their staff to 1. Don't quote me on that for sure. But there were 2 staff members that were solely that's what they did every day, was to support the work in each of the different departments.
And the last thing I was gonna say is we do have like a list of all the other cities who have come through and like some contact info. Commerce City was another one I was just thinking of. So we can make sure we get Heather that information so she can talk to those other cities of like size.
Yeah, I think I'm more interested in contacting them to find out what is the sustainability of it, right? Because you can send 2 interested people and then they can come back and get different jobs and then it doesn't go anywhere. And so that's wasted money. spent for people who have moved on. Oh, you have something else?
I was just going to say, the places that we've seen it be more sustainable is they do have at least one staff member like dedicated to it. But that doesn't mean it can't be. It's just those, just as I'm thinking across like the folks who've done it, they do typically have to like put some, research towards it.
That makes sense. Okay, so this is helping me better understand what it is, because the idea of a innovation team makes sense. It is in our strategic plan. We do support it. I just wasn't quite sure how it connected to this one. This is fine. I'm sure they're doing great work. I think when I think of every staff member, I don't think that makes a ton of sense. That's over $75,000. And I don't know that you need it at every level. So I would just be mindful in the rollout, and maybe it rolls out in phases.
It would not be all at once.
Well, I knew it wouldn't be all at once, but I think about staff turnover. We don't want to be spending a lot of money and also roll. Not everybody needs to do this work. So, I'm not trying to demean any lifeguards, but I don't think our lifeguards need to go through this training. Maybe they do. Maybe the managers might need it more. And then also I just think about similar to Councilmember Roper, like this is facilitation. This is facilitation strategies and techniques and the way people think. And so if you like this company, I think that's great. Or it's not really a company, but this organization, I think that's great. I think as we move forward as a city, we need to figure out how does it fit and where is it going to help us the most? Because there's a lot of fun challenges in the world. We will not ever be lacking those. So thank you. Thank you for explaining what you do, and congratulations. All right, next up is the proposed 2026 Neighborhood Nights Plan. City Manager Guyer will present this to council.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Rachel from our event staff is here this evening. She's going to walk you through an update of Neighborhood Nights. Previously, we had shared some information. She's done a lot of legwork on dates, times, and we'll talk you through what the plan is for this evening. Our hope is that we can get any feedback from you tonight that may shift us in a different direction, so that way we have time to pivot and adjust. Otherwise, if you give us a thumbs up that the plan's great, we'll move forward and execute it. So Rachel, turn it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me this evening. To those who observe, happy Groundhog Day.
Yes.
I am Rachel Henney. I'm one of your two event supervisors. Michael Ringling was not feeling well tonight, so he's at home. As Heather mentioned, the Neighborhood Nights, there have been a couple conversations in various stages at various times about dates, about locations. Tonight is really just pulling it all together. It is very similar to what we've seen before, but it's always good to check back in and make sure that our team is on the right track for this one of your signature series. So there are things that are still in the works, things like your bands, things like the movies, but between my team and Northglenn Arts, we have come to the event schedule, very similar again to what we've seen before, with the band kicking off there at 5:30, then taking a break for council to check in with residents who have come, and then the movie at 7:30. That is a little bit earlier. We're wanting to make sure that families with kiddos can see the whole movie and feel like they can stay without getting home too very late. The dates we have picked interweave with the concert schedule on the lawn, and I'm happy to talk through that more if needs be, so that it appears there is a gap between June and July, but really from the public standpoint, we think it's just all part of one big fun series that will go through June and July. Other highlight I wanted to point out, Anything Library has come on board. They want to have a presence at every neighborhood night. We're very happy to have that partnership. If there are other departments within the city, we've seen DICE in years past. We've seen CP, forgive me, the acronym escapes me at the moment.
CCPP.
CCPP, thank you. Or Planning had a great presence last summer, got a lot of really useful information. So those partnerships are open and will be determined. Those are the broad strokes, but I'd love to get any feedback or questions.
How come Ward 3 gets one more savory truck than the rest of them?
That was feedback from the last time we checked in on neighborhood nights. Given the number and volume we have for Ward 3, that is in combination with a lawn concert. So there was a thought that we needed to have a little more support behind that.
That's fair. It made sense. The location is a little bigger.
It is.
Councilmember Severs.
Hi, thanks for presenting. I'm sure you've thought about it because that's what you guys, staff does, but there's no concern about the movie being hard to see at 7:30?
There is not. There's exploration at this point to have LED screens instead of a projection.
Nice.
Which was part of the consideration of moving it forward. We want to make sure people can see it, but we also, it's very important that the movie actually gets seen, and that's just not happening right now with as late as it's starting.
That makes sense. Councilmember Roper.
Thank you for this. And since I'm on, it seems like I'm asking all the questions about money. Do the LED screens cost more than what we are currently using?
That is an excellent question. I know Northglenn Arts is looking at how to source that responsibly. And is my understanding another city may have one in their stock that they might be able to loan us. So those are ongoing conversations. And I'm happy to circle back on that particular price point if needs be.
Thank you. And I think I can speak for Mayor Pro Tem, but we love our location. That having the music and the movie is really great. Our community really loves it, so thank you for putting this together. It's a big hit in Ward 4, so thank you.
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for presenting. One of the things that I remember, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I seem to recall that CDOT was doing like community outreach, and it happened at the same time. And I just wanted to figure out, when we have this sort of schedule, do we reach out to other government agencies to say, hey, we have a major community event going on, and if you would like to, have a booth, if you're trying to collect community input, here's an opportunity to partner with the city?
That's not something that we've done historically proactively, but anyone who asks, we do try to work in. So I know Adams County in the past has come to do like voter registration. If there are specific groups that you feel are missing, I'm happy to do that outreach. I know a lot of it comes down to staffing. The fact that it's in the evening, sometimes that's a harder reach.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think that most recently it's CDOT, RTD. Those are the ones that I just remember being pretty active in the summer.
I'm happy to look into that further.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for doing all the hard work of organizing and getting input and putting this all together. My question, and maybe it's more of a suggestion, I would just wonder if this might be a good opportunity, at least the Ward 3 one, because we get more people because of where it is, but to do some presentation by Parks and Rec on like updates on the construction we're doing at the parks and the Odell Berry Park, plan or whatever. I've had people ask me some questions about what that's going to look like now that we have the funding for it. So I don't know, but I know in the past we've had different departments present things that are in the works or to get input from residents. And this might be a good place and time to talk about what's going on with all our parks.
I'm happy to explore that further with parks, yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Leidy.
Thank you. And thank you so much for doing all of this. This is also a very well laid out little plan here. I love it. I'm very excited that mine is at Central Park. That's in my neighborhood, so I could walk there. I'm very excited about that. I did just have a question because I noticed that Ward 4 is on June 18th, and maybe I'm jumping ahead. Is that going to interfere with a Juneteenth event? Do we have a Juneteenth event planned?
There is a pretty significant Juneteenth event being planned. Again, that is more under Northglenn Arts, but as the 19th, not the 18th. We were strategic about that.
I love it. So it's like back to back. Cool. Okay. Sounds so
We'll
much
be
fun.
partying all week long. Staff will be at least.
Yay.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And then it'd be interesting to see an overlay of all the other events for the summer. I know this is just very tight to the 4 ward events, but knowing that there's so much going on, including the 4th of July and I'm assuming Pride.
Yes, and I have done that on a small scale to answer questions about it.
Nice.
We're very strategic in that survey that I sent out to you all in plotting this out, not just for staff accommodation, but also the public. We never want to be competing with ourselves if we're doing something. So
Yeah, that's true. And then are we still going to do a nice summer flyer with all of those for families?
yes,
Do you know when that'll go out?
I am not sure.
Okay. I was thinking about Councilmember Condo's question. So young families typically will pull all of Northglenn's, all of Thornton's, all of Westminster's, and they'll put all the fun events on their personal calendar. And so that said, because they're published, additional organizations can do the same. They can look and go, ooh, we're going to go here, then we're going to go here, then we're going to go here. And so it's really can be on them. I wouldn't think that Rachel needs to ask, but I'm sure she's willing to. I just think they can also seek it out on their own because we publish all those fun dates. It sounds like a lot of fun. I love that we are continuing to put the band and the movie together. I know when I talk to residents at these events, we have quite a few that are not residents because they also look to see which band is coming. We had people from Golden, we had people from Littleton. They drive up to see their favorite band because live music for free is pretty amazing. It's a wonderful thing.
And thank you for mentioning that master list. It does remind me we have the insert in the activity guide at all events during the summer. We do have a one sheet where we have all of the events listed. So as many times as I can shout these days and times, we do take that opportunity.
Yeah. So I think you
On a more
mentioned it.
cohesive-
Yeah, I think you mentioned it a second ago. You did balance it out for staff workload as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's a lot. I hope there's some balance there. I know it gets pretty busy in the summer.
July's going to be one big long party. It's going to be awesome.
It certainly is. Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
And so everybody's happy? Yes?
Yes.
I'm going to publish these far and wide.
Yep.
Thank you.
Are there any other items for council? Nothing? Okay, all right. Thank you. We are adjourned. No gavel, but there you go.